In 1990, I enrolled at Kansas State University. A lot of people ask me why I chose K-State over that other Kansas school. Well, the answer is pretty simple. These are KU fans, and this is a K-State fan. To me, it's a no-brainer. My name is Catmatt.
No matter how Wildcats spin it, the fact still remains. From September 2007 to April 2008, the hated Jayhawks were better than us. They finished 12-1 in football by winning the Orange Bowl, and their basketball team wasn't too shabby either. It's a good time to be a Jayhawk. But it won't be that way forever. Help is on the way for Kansas State. A change is gonna come. Catmatt is coming home. You can't see Catmatt Mojo. You can't hear it, touch it, or smell it. But wherever Catmatt goes, the mojo is there, mystically working behind the scenes. And although it's an invisible force and not a physical presence, for the purposes of this video, let's give the mojo a face. If you've watched my intro enough, you all know by now that I arrived on the K-State campus in 1990. On that day, K-State football was at an all-time low. The Cats had won one game in the previous 3 seasons. New head coach Bill Snyder was unknown and untested. And the university was so desperate to get students to the games that student season tickets went for a mere $35. During my time in Manhattan, I saw K-State steadily improve. And by 1993, the Cats were on a roll, winning 9 or more games every year right up to 1998. In 1993 and 1994, the Cats' offense was led by a quarterback named Chad May and a running back named J.J. Smith, whose jersey numbers happened to be 5 and 22. And in case you missed it, 5/22 happens to be my birthday. I left Manhattan in 1993, but I didn't go far. From 1993 to 1998, I always lived within 100 miles of K-State. But in December 1998, I made the decision to move to Los Angeles. I arrived in Los Angeles on December 29, 1998. During my first 3 years in Los Angeles, the nearest local college, USC, was 17 and 19 in football. But in 2002, the Trojans were 11 and 2, and in 2003, they were 12 and 1. So in that short time the mojo was in Los Angeles, USC had risen from the depths of mediocrity to national prominence. Do you see the pattern? I moved back to Kansas in October 2003, right when the Cats were at the end of a 3-game losing streak in football. Upon my arrival, things turned around for K-State. The Cats won the rest of their games and dominated the #1 ranked OU Sooners in the Big 12 title game.
The seconds tick away. Bill Snyder has won his first Big 12 championship.
Coincidence? In 2004, I moved to Central Florida. In 2004, when I arrived in Florida, nearby UCF had an 0-11 season in football. In the 4 seasons I was in Florida, the Golden Knights steadily improved until they were 10-4 and Conference USA champions. In that same 4-year span, we saw similar strides in the USF Bulls down south. And as if that weren't enough, the mojo spilled over onto the nearby University of Florida, where in the span of 12 months from 2006 to 2007, the Gators won 1 national title in football and 2 national titles in basketball. Still think the mojo is a myth? Well, let's go back to the LA years. While I was living in LA, the mediocre USC football team improved from a 6-6 team in 1999 to a 12-1 team in 2003. At the same time, USC's local rival, the UCLA Bruins, fell apart after a 10-2 campaign in 1998, finishing 6-7 in 2003. Why is this significant? Look at where I lived in Los Angeles, 18 miles from the Coliseum where USC plays, and 35 miles from the Rose Bowl where UCLA plays. Clearly, geographic proximity is a factor. The Catmatt Mojo was there, but USC was hoarding it all, and poor UCLA couldn't even get a whiff. All of these factors convinced me that it was time to move back to Kansas. In fact, just thinking about coming home already sent the mojo back to the Midwest. The only problem is the mojo was coming back to Kansas from Florida. And as this map clearly points out, Due to the laws of geographic proximity, said Mojo was intercepted by KU before it could make its way to K-State. Hence, the Jayhawks had a terrific year. If you still have doubts, look at my world travels. In the summer of 1997, I was in Melbourne, Australia, the day after the Melbourne Wallabies lost their annual rugby series with New Zealand, known as the Bledisloe Cup. It was their third year in a row that Melbourne had lost to New Zealand, and in the previous decade, Melbourne had lost 8 of 10 times. However, in the 5 years after my visit to Melbourne, the Wallabies went on a tear, winning Lord Bledisloe's Cup for the next 5 consecutive seasons.
That is it! The Wallabies make it 3-0.
Test in a row against the All Blacks. Now 1998, what a fantastic team.
In early February 1998, I paid my first visit to Paris. It just so happened that France was gearing up for the FIFA World Cup, which was to be held the following summer. That July, 5 months after my visit to Paris, France won its first ever World Cup, defeating powerhouse Brazil 3-0 in the finals.
Zidane again! And again, Brazil looking poor defensively on the set piece. Petit away from it, Zidane into it, 2-0 France.
On that same visit, my wife and I took a train up to Prague for a weekend. We arrived in Prague on a Friday night, February 20th. The next day, February 21st, the Czech Republic Olympic hockey team won its first ever gold medal with a 1-0 victory over arch-rival Russia. I am not making any of this up. If you still don't believe, I don't know what to tell you. I believe. That's why I came back to Kansas. But due to the laws of geographic proximity, I also had to choose my new place of residence very carefully. That is why my home is somewhere in this purple area, thereby assuring that the laws of geographic proximity will assure that K-State intercepts the Mojo before its power can bleed over onto KU. Now, I'm not guaranteeing anything. As history has proven, sometimes the Mojo catches right away, sometimes it takes a little time. But I tell you, the Mojo is real. KU, your days are numbered.
history, a Stanley Cup for Los Angeles. The Kings